Our third influence, related to scarcity and abundance of things and stuff and talent and people, was one of the most controversial of the topics that we added. We weren't even sure we were going to leave it in. But then there became an energy around it. The book about abundance from Peter Diamandis was great, and it talked about how the world was getting ready to be able to support itself, that we finally had the technology and the resources that we would need to almost handle an infinite growth in the planet's population. But on the other hand, the divisions of those kinds of resources would be a question. Obviously, transportation and distribution and balance and equity, all those issues started to come up. But we also recognize that abundance is the question for Chambers. They will always have something that is abundant that they can grasp and play with. And if they don't have it, they have to find it, because their communities will depend on it. And so it is all about abundance. But it's also a recognition that at times resources grow or shrink. Look at water. Look at the oil situation. Look at the communities in North Dakota and Oklahoma that for a few months or a few years were actually having no trouble at all gathering all the resources that they needed. In some ways, some communities were just taking orders, welcoming new people to town, welcoming new investment. They didn't have too much work to do except to manage that growth. But in other cases, energy prices change, preferences change. Now, what's different about this, because Chambers have always had to deal with this issue. They've always had floods and disasters to deal with. They've always had booms and busts. So what's different? And I think the fickleness of this market, the speed of the market and preferences is what's different. You know, there was a time there when Detroit's fortunes seemed to be so limited because the car industry was shrinking and all the car companies were shrinking. And then what happens? A Super Bowl commercial runs and says imported from Detroit, and suddenly there's an abundance of demand. And all three car companies turned from unprofitable during the recession to profitable. And then there's a resource issue on people. There's a resource issue on talent. And where are people going to find talent, trained talent? Where are they going to find it? How is the outside world going to influence your abundance or your scarcity? Think about things like access to marshland or coastline that could be affected by government ruling. Think about access to technology that could be made or lost based on rules about genetic testing. So all of these factors can weigh on the abundance and opportunities available for Chambers. I sometimes use a term that the Navy SEALs use. They say that they have to be CAPs, kick-ass problem solvers. They used to plan everything, and now they realize that they have to be ready for whatever comes next. And in this fast-paced change between abundance and scarcity, Chambers are going to have to be CAPs.